Attacks have been across Pinal County as we track severe thunderstorms and blowing dust. But an update for you right now as we just got another dust alert that includes parts of the Phoenix metro area. This is a brand new dust storm warning until 4 p.m. And here is the polygon. I'm going to outline it for you with my finger there in the cream color. So it does include Chandler, Gilbert, Queen Creek, Santan Valley, parts of Mesa and Apache Junction under this dust storm warning until 4 o'clock this afternoon. Wind gusts could hit 50 miles per hour. Visibility could be a quarter mile or less. So if you encounter any dust as you're out there driving around over the next hour or so, make sure you pull aside to the right as far as you can. You take your foot off the brake, put the car in park first, take your foot off the brake. You don't want any lights to be seen behind you. As drivers come in, they'll think you're the way out and they'll slam right into you. We do have storms farther to the south, but so far none of that rain has made it into the Phoenix metro area. Severe thunderstorm warnings. Two of them at one point. The one farther west has expired. We still have the one for Casa Grande stretching up just south of Queen Creek until 3:45, and gusts there could hit 60 miles per hour. But we want to get a check of what's happening out there from our ABC 15 live drive crew. Let's go now to Jordan Bonke with an update on what he's seeing.
Amber, we're right now approaching the 202. We just passed some of the Warner Elliott exits. I'll give you a quick look at what we're looking at. We were over by Sky Harbor, and it was kind of a tale of two different skies. Really clear over there by the runways, but as we started to head south on I-10, you're really starting to see perhaps even the dust off into the horizon. We did just get that alert coming across like an Amber alert, but it's that dust alert, dust storm warning until 4 o'clock, asking people to be prepared for sudden drop in visibility. If you're headed south on I-10, something to keep in mind if you need to pull off. But for now, we're going to continue monitoring storms as we're headed south, just now passing that 202 interchange on I-10 south. We'll send it back to you, Amber.
All right, stay safe out there. I can see some dust on the horizon there. We're going to keep a close eye on what's happening across the valley. We're going to have updates for you as they come in. So look for continuing coverage here on air, online, and our ABC 15 mobile app. We're going to be back at the top of the 4 o'clock hour with more updates.
C-15 Arizona at 4.
Right now at 4, monsoon storms slamming into the valley. A live look at radar as some big storms are hitting throughout our state. A view from the sky now, and you can see those dark clouds, the rain from our Cliff Castle chopper. And up north in Flagstaff, rain hitting the Arizona Snow Bowl with major flooding concerns for the high country. We have a crew on the way, and we are in weather action mode. Our Javier Soto just outside our ABC 15 Arizona studios in Central Phoenix. Javier, hitting you yet?
No, not much here. It is dark. There are lots of clouds surrounding here, and you not a lot of dust, and certainly not the hail that we saw in other parts across the valley. But let's show you where it has hit so far, and this is some video you're seeing right now. So you know it's monsoon season when you see the raindrops hitting the swimming pool, and this was out in Santan Valley. Let's get you some new video just in. Here's the view from Chandler, a dusty drive for people on the roadways. Few raindrops hitting the windshield as well. And then speaking of dust, now check out this photo from our Jim Egbert. He captured this wall of dust, and that was also approaching Santan Valley as well. We were actually going to go on top of the roof, on top of the parking structure, but as we heard from Chief Meteorologist Amber Solins, there was a possibility of some lightning in this area, so that's when they rerouted me down to just outside the patio. So, but man, this looks like a big storm headed in.
It really is, and so you're in a safer spot for sure. I'll let you know if you need to move inside completely, but in the meantime, we are tracking that lightning hitting just to the west of downtown Phoenix right now. A severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 4:30 p.m. This includes Phoenix and areas east, or I should say west and southwest of here. So this is basically the core of where the heaviest rainfall is right now. 35th Avenue from Broadway up past McDowell and out to the west past 51st Avenue. In fact, all the way to that new stretch of the 202 that connects up with I-10. And then farther up to the north, that's where we're seeing that heavy rain come up into uptown Phoenix right now and stretch along the 51 as well up through the Dreamy Draw. So every single spot you see here shaded in this orange polygon here on the map. I'm going to outline it for you with my finger. Every spot in this orange polygon is under this severe thunderstorm warning. It is not safe to be outside if you live in these areas. So we're talking downtown Phoenix, uptown, Glendale, just to Tolleson and down to Levine. And this storm is headed to the northeast. So we're going to see that stretch farther to the northeast. In fact, up near Desert Ridge Marketplace and up near North Scottsdale, out near the Princess, it's already starting to pick up in intensity with that rainfall, and it's going to get worse in the next 30 minutes. More storms brewing south of here. In fact, these are stretching from the Estrellas, which are basically right here on the map, down to the south. And so these are going to go up and over the mountains. They'll come into Phoenix too. And so gusty winds with these may exceed 60 miles per hour and do some damage. Now, as we look a little bit farther out to the east, we had a dust storm warning out here. Gusts were hitting about 50 miles per hour. Visibility down to a quarter mile or less as that dust was coming in. You saw the photo from our photographer Jim. Now that alert has expired and we're starting to see a few raindrops come in. Most of it, though, still sitting down to the south with the thunder and lightning that's stretching back down toward Maricopa tonight. And that's also where we have this flood advisory until 7 p.m. It includes areas along the 238 just to the east of Maricopa, where we are going to see some minor flooding there. Now, as we again go back to this severe thunderstorm warning, this is just the start of it, really. And so over the next couple of hours, we may see more of these severe thunderstorm warnings issued. So each time a new alert comes in, you'll hear it first from me, and we'll walk you through everything you need to know. But in the meantime, right now, if you're in Phoenix or if you're in parts of Scottsdale, you do not need to be outside while this storm comes through. Wait it out and make sure to stay safe, because we could see dangerous cloud to ground lightning with this storm as well. We'll be back with a few more updates on the radar coming up in just minutes. But in the meantime, Faye, looks like we need to check out what's happening from crews that we have all around town. Javier?
You're exactly right. Just as I tossed into you, Amber, I started to hear some thunder behind me. And anytime we have a weather action day like this, it is all hands on deck. And that's why we sent our Jordan Bonke down south. You're off Casablanca Road. What are you seeing out there?
We got some small raindrops that are on the windshield right now. We are just a little bit south of Casablanca Road. The dust storm started just south of the 202 on the I-10. That's when people really started to slow down near Wild Horse Pass. I'll give you a look of what we're looking at in front of us here. So you could see a little bit of the rain that's accumulating just on the shoulder there. Cars, like I said, started slowing down a real exit 164. That's the exit for Maricopa. And then the rain started at around Goodyear Road. But we did actually get a chance to speak with one of the drivers as we were there on Casablanca Road. It looks like a lot of the rain is around us right now. And I said, what's worse right now? Is it the rain? Is it the wind? Is it the dust? What's really bothering you? She was an Uber driver. And she said, it's really the rain. You know, when it hasn't rained for a while, what's left from a vehicle, whether it's oil, that can make the road so slick. You know, and asking our photojournalist what it's like behind the wheel, he says every once in a while you can feel those strong winds, but it almost looks, as I'm looking out into the horizon, it almost looks like it's starting to clear up a little bit. The dust storms were really bad, but only for a matter of moments, and that's really going to affect visibility. Never to a point where it felt like we were unsafe behind the wheel or we couldn't drive at speeds, you know, below 60 miles an hour. But lightning still again around us, moderately, and it seems like it's dissipating as we're heading south, and it looks like the storms are either to the east and west of us. But if you don't have to be behind the wheel, that's the recommendation right now. Don't get in your car if you don't need to, even if it is not terribly bad right now. But for now, we'll send it back to you guys.
Hey Jordan, it's Christine Stanwood here. We just got off the 202 East headed towards Queen Creek, and I wanted to give you guys somewhat of a 360 perspective of what we're seeing. We're on Greenfield Road. We're about to turn left onto Germain, and you can see, just to show you, you know, over here to the west of us, you can see a little bit of those finger clouds zipping down with like a little bit of rainfall, and then showing you due south, you can see a little bit of haziness, and then over here to our left, which is the east, just a little bit of low visibility. So far, so good. When we were driving on the 202 East, there were those caution signs though, right? So something to keep in mind with that low visibility, it's something that drivers have to be aware of. We know that a storm could turn at a moment's notice, so just be mindful of that. I know a lot of you guys are headed home. One of your loved ones is heading home during this storm, so you know, keep it tuned to ABC 15. We're gonna keep you covered. If we see anything, and if you see anything, go ahead and send it safely to abc15.com. Faye, we're going to send it back to you. For now, reporting live, Christine Stanwood, ABC 15, Arizona.
All right, Christine, thank you very much. We are seeing something right now. This is a dust storm moving through, overtaking the Chandler Regional Airport. You can see not blue sky to be seen in this shot as we pan around a little bit and show you those thick, heavy clouds and that dust rolling in right now. We also have more video coming in. This is storms hitting Santan Valley, and you can see the rain really coming down there. The dust also hitting that area. Drivers taking it slow. That's what you're supposed to do out there because those are some dangerous conditions. Want to show you I-10 and 19th Avenue here. This is one of our ADOT cameras. And again, even some of that rain starting to hit the lens, Amber.
In the thick of it. There's probably some small hail mixed in with that as well. That's our severe thunderstorm, and the warning in effect until 4:30 right now for that storm coming right up through Phoenix. Lots of lightning with this and very gusty winds, which may even exceed 60 miles per hour. So here's the core of it, from Phoenix up through Encanto and Uptown and then back toward Maryvale. And the chance for hail with this up to just shy of a half an inch. And so that hail potential stretching from just north of Broadway, in fact, right near Lower Buckeye, and to the east of 43rd Avenue. And then going up into Uptown Phoenix, we may see some smaller hail with this storm into some of those areas as well. Now, the rain is starting to push farther to the north and east, and it's almost getting heavy at Scottsdale Airport. Light stuff now, but the heavy stuff is just to the west of you. It's coming in. Thunder and lightning in the mix, and more storms working their way up and over the Estrella Mountains as we speak. So we're going to keep going for a while. Areas farther west seeing new pop-ups along I-10 between Goodyear and Buckeye, and along the 85 just to the southwest of Buckeye. All of this will push off to the northeast as well in the next hour or so. Then there's a flood advisory. This is along the 238 just to the southeast of Maricopa. And so those areas may see some localized flooding until about 7 o'clock tonight. It's from heavy rainfall that fell there earlier, anywhere from about a half to 3/4 of an inch. But now another storm is raining over that same spot. So this is something we're going to keep a close eye on here in the hours ahead. We still have a dust storm warning as well farther to the west. This is our last one. We've had several throughout the afternoon, but there's one remaining along I-8 stretching all the way back to Gila Bend. So those are the alerts that we're tracking right now. Also seeing spotty showers and thunderstorms pop up farther east out near Globe. We're going to be watching this area closely because there is a burn scar out there. And the other area north of Flagstaff where we have numerous burn scars. So far the rain hasn't been too heavy in that part of our state, but that's another area that we're going to be keeping a close eye on over the next several hours as storms continue to fire up in that part of our state as well. Same storm movement from the southwest to the northeast. One flood advisory right now. It's well to the north of the Montezuma area and just to the west of Sedona, mainly out over open land, but a flood advisory there until 5 p.m. So that's what we're watching right now on the radar. We'll stay in weather action mode as these storms continue to move through, and we've got more storm chances in the days ahead. So coming up, we'll take a look at your 7-day forecast.
All right, Amber, sounds good. We want to remind everyone really quickly about a great resource we have. You can track the weather right in your own neighborhood. Just scan that QR code on your screen right now by using your phone's camera to download the free ABC 15 app. You can also stay up to date on the latest news and traffic.
15th Avenue, and you can see that's where rain continues to fall, and it looks like slow go as far as traffic, as folks are slowing down, and that's a good thing, a good sign to see, especially when you see that rain falling. Well, let's also show you some drone photos of the dust storm moving into Chandler. You see that big dust cloud kind of moving over and enveloping the city right there, and it's very ominous looking, but it doesn't appear to be too big as we've seen in the past. But we also want to show you some new video right now. This is the dust moving through. This is off of Riggs and the I-10, and you can see that is blowing right there off the freeway, right there off I-10, and you can see it's picking up a lot of that dust out in the field. So we want to turn our coverage now to Chief Meteorologist Amber Solins. We know you've been tracking this since a few hours ago, and you knew this was headed in.
Yeah, it's been a wild afternoon. Started down in Pinal County. Now it's right here on our doorstep. And that severe thunderstorm warning still in effect here until 4:30. But it looks like we have a brand new dust storm warning on top of that until 5 o'clock this afternoon. So from Chandler, right where you see this tan polygon start, it stretches up through Chandler, Tempe, cuts right through downtown Phoenix and goes all the way over to the West Valley and then stretches south of here into Pinal County. That's where the dust storm warning is, and visibility may drop to about a quarter mile or less in that area. Outflow winds from storms even farther south picking up the dust while we deal with this severe thunderstorm moving right through the heart of Phoenix right now. It's hitting downtown Phoenix, uptown Phoenix, and the possibility of hail has increased with this. In fact, the size of the hail may be a little bit bigger as well, exceeding a ½ inch up near the Encanto area. And then the heavy rain now stretching over Piestua Peak all the way out to the Scottsdale Airport and along the Loop 101 as it bends through North Scottsdale. So that's what we're tracking right now. We have crews all across the valley. We want to get to one of them right now. Mark Thompson is down in central Phoenix, and we'll have an update on what he's seeing down there.
3rd Avenue and Van Buren. We have rain, we have wind, we have lightning in this area. We are right downtown. You can see it right now. We hopped out of the car. As soon as we saw the cell move right over where we were, it was a big red dot on the radar, and that has equated to this, what you see right now, right in the heart or the beginning of rush hour as people are starting to try and make their way home. We have seen people running for cover to get out of this rain right now. We actually got under a little bit of shelter ourselves. We're keeping an eye on the potential lightning, as you can see, just flashed there in the area. So we are trying to stay safe while we bring you these reports right now. You see cars, they're still moving along right now. They've got their headlights on, but they are trying to maintain a reasonable speed. We can now hear thunder in the distance as well. The cell, I mean, it came out of, well, I won't say nowhere because we were watching the radar, but 1 minute we were driving and there were clear skies in our window, and then all of a sudden we saw the rain just start pouring down on our windshield. So we decided to hop out and provide this perspective to you right now. And again, downtown at Van Buren and 3rd Avenue. And we are watching people again try and take cover here in the downtown Phoenix area. The rain, I can tell you right now, thick drops that are pouring. The wind, it seems to have died down once the rain started to fall a little bit more heavily. But again, we are keeping an eye on the situation right here. Let me step right back out of here. The rain's hitting too hard for me right now. But you see city buses, they are moving downtown. You see different cars, they are moving downtown as people continue to just try to deal with this monsoon storm that has hit here this afternoon. We're going to keep an eye on the situation. Oh, if you could look over there to the left, you see a gentleman, look, Ray, over there to your left. You see this young man, he just hopped out. He was running. Now he just kind of slowed down. I think he figured out that, hey, you're not going to beat this rain, so maybe he's just going to be taking it in as he tries to walk to wherever he's getting to. But I'm going to send it back to Jorge now with some more perspective, but we will stay out here and continue to monitor the situation on the ground unless you have some questions for me.
All right, Mark, really appreciate that. You and Ray doing a great job out there. Rolls through. We also want to thank all of our ABC 15 viewers for sending in their weather photos and videos. And there's one that we do want to highlight in particular from Brian Thorne from Sun Lakes. This is known as a gustnado. This occurs when you have the leading edge of those outflow winds that produce blowing dust. some rotation can happen with it, and you can see what appears to be a tornado, but that is not the case. So that is good news regarding situations like that. We've also had reports of what are known as land spouts or non-supercell tornadoes. These occur when you have storm clouds beginning to build and there's enough rotation to get spin-ups. The good news regarding these situations, these particular spin-ups, they're weak and they're short-lived. So that is good news regarding situations like that. It may look ominous from a distance, but these types of tornadoes are fairly weak and are fairly common this time of the year during the monsoon season. And of course, we would want you all to safely provide your weather photos and videos by emailing them to us at share@abc15.com, and we'll share them on air and online throughout the day and evening. Of course, do it safely. Javier, we'll send it back to you.
Great explanation, because a lot of people saw that video and they were freaking out. What is that? So thank you, Jorge. We are here. It seems that the wind is picking up behind us and we're hearing more and more thunder, but we know across the other parts of the valley it's really hitting. So we want to turn back to Jordan Bonke. He is north of Casa Grande right now. Anything more there?
Hey, what's going on, Javier? So what we're doing right now is we're hopping back onto I-10. You may be able to see it from where we are. As we were heading back in towards downtown Phoenix, where you just heard Mark speaking, we're expecting to see a little bit more of that rain. It's really dry where we are. You could see some of the rain that's really light over onto the shoulder, but we're still vulnerable to some of that lightning. The wind is dissipated. It really seems like the storm is past us, and we are in the southern portion of Maricopa County. The traffic started to build up, but never long enough for it to be disruptive to prevent us or to be at an irritating level. So still really fluid. We're headed back into it right now. Earlier we did get a chance to talk with the driver, and she mentioned to us, between the wind, the dust, the rain, the thing that really bothers her, she's an Uber driver, is the rain. The rain itself, when the roads get slick and the oil that's left down by some of the cars.
Okay, we're having obviously some issues with the signal there. That happens in the weather sometimes that we're experiencing, but want to take you to one of our ADOT cameras here now. This is the Loop 202. You can see a lot of water on the roads there. Traffic is moving right now. We're going to keep an eye on this and the rest of the state on this Weather Action Day. We'll be right back. So much for that, huh? Thank you for checking, though. Do we know what the helicopter is looking at? So this is looking south. You can see all that weather out there. Let's get right over to Chief Meteorologist Amber Solins with the warnings we need to know about.
Yeah, severe thunderstorm warning till 4:30 p.m. Faye, this storm is absolutely a monster right now. Want to take you into the spots that are raining the heaviest, from Phoenix to Uptown, out toward the Dreamy Draw along the 51 and stretching up towards Scottsdale. I've also been keeping a close eye on the winds with this storm. This is our velocity scope. Areas in green here are going in toward the radar. In red, winds are flowing away from the radar. And when we see these coupled right next to each other like that, it indicates that this storm may be causing a downburst. And so that's going to lead to some really gusty winds, perhaps 60+ miles per hour. Then there's the hail potential. Out near Piestewa Peak now is where we're seeing that hail threat, hail size just shy of a ½ an inch. And then as we take a look at the radar again, tracking that lightning moving up through North Scottsdale, it's right near the Scottsdale airport. So that's going to be a problem for anyone trying to get in and out of that airport in the next hour or so. Of course, there's more to track down to the south as well. A dust storm warning till 5 p.m. Numerous storms and lots of lightning, and new pop-ups out near Buckeye as well, proving to be soakers too. Really heavy downpours out there. And then the other spot I want to take you to now is farther east. We have a new flash flood warning right now till 8:15 tonight, just to the east of Superior. And this is right where the Telegraph burn scar area is. In fact, as we take a look at the burn scar mapping here, all these areas in red are burn scars. And when we get heavy downpours over them, it leads to flooding fast. And so that is happening right now in this area just to the east and southeast of Superior. The warning until 8:15 tonight. And we'll be back with more right after this.
Live from right outside our ABC 15 studios in Phoenix. What's it looking like out there?
Still not a lot of action. We're hearing more thunder out here, and just a few seconds ago we could hear the wind chimes right behind us, but nothing in the form of rain and not a lot of wind. But I'll tell you, someone who has been tracking it and can tell us where all that action, our chief meteorologist Amber Solins, you've been tracking this, and everywhere around us there's a lot of action, right?
Yeah, it's just to the north and just to the west of where you are, Javier, and these storms are going to continue to move through. There's another round down to the south right now that's hitting Ahwatukee in that new stretch of 202, that South Mountain Freeway that goes up through Ahwatukee and Levine. This is coming up and over South Mountain, so we could get hit here in a matter of about 30 minutes again for parts of Phoenix and perhaps near Sky Harbor, Tempe, and parts of Chandler. In the meantime, we have that severe thunderstorm warning that was initially issued for Central Phoenix and Levine. That has expired, and it's left behind a new flood advisory because the most strong part of the storm has moved on, but left behind was all of the rain. So now a flood advisory and those wet streets until about 7:30 with that alert, and another round of heavy rain is coming right on top of it. So this is really something we're going to have to watch closely out near Levine and stretching north to I-10, because already flooded areas are going to be seeing quite a bit more rain in about the next half an hour or so as this next batch rolls through. Now, as we look a little bit farther to the north, the severe thunderstorm warning now extends through Piestewa Peak, up through Arcadia, over Camelback Mountain, into Scottsdale, and all the way up into North Scottsdale. That heavy rain indicated here in the bright red, and you can see pockets of it right along the 101 in North Scottsdale and along the 51 up through the Dreamy Draw. Lots of lightning with this too, so it is not safe to be outside right now as this storm moves in. Cloud to ground lightning will be dangerous. The winds with this may exceed 60 miles per hour and do some damage. And of course, you got all of that heavy rain pouring down as well. The severe thunderstorm warning for this area until 5:15. But again, another round of storms is lining up to come in, and we have new pop-ups near Goodyear and Buckeye right now that will also continue to push to the east and northeast in the hours ahead. So we have a lot more action coming this evening. Just kind of lay low and wait until all of this clears out until you head back out again across the valley, because we're going to see a lot of threats here. And areas east are still being lit up on the radar as well. I told you minutes ago about that flash flood warning near Superior for the Telegraph burn scar area. That is ongoing, and it's going to be until 8:15 tonight. So the runoff from this is happening fast because the ground is scorched and it cannot absorb anything because of that burn scar. This is going to be one of the most troublesome spots throughout the monsoon season. We're likely to see numerous floods in this area in the months ahead. Same goes for the Flagstaff area, where we are going to be continuing to monitor those burn scars as well. As we take a look at what's happening here across central Arizona, though, this is where we're seeing the biggest threats and the biggest alerts. And it looks like a brand new severe thunderstorm warning has just popped on the map here for that batch that was coming up and over the Estrellas. So I'm going to walk off, get you a time on this one. That one has the capability of also kicking out wind gust over 60 miles per hour. And according to the National Weather Service, they're issuing this for the hail potential as well, which could be over 3/4 of an inch. So again, watch out. This is a pretty nasty storm, and I'm going to zoom it in here and just freeze frame it for you so we can see the areas impacted. I'm also going to take off the lightning here for a second because it's just too much. There's a lot of lightning with this storm, but let's look at the rain. Heavy stuff over South Mountain, over the 202 South Mountain portion that goes right through Ahwatukee foothills. So essentially from about 32nd Street all the way past Desert Foothills, every single stretch of that 202 going up past 51st Avenue and all the way to Baseline Road. Absolutely getting slammed right now with heavy rain and the possibility of hail. We also have that flood advisory again for the Levine area I told you about moments ago, and now we've got heavy rain coming into that spot as well. And then look at all this lightning. I'll throw the lightning back on here. Lightning is a big concern because when we have lightning in the area, then we cannot have planes landing if it's too close to the airport. And so Jorge's keeping a close eye on those skies right now and what's happening to aircraft across the valley.
Yeah, Amber, you're exactly right. Because of these strong to severe storms impacting the valley, planes circling Sky Harbor around the storms right now, and no official ground stop or anything yet. yet, but they can't land because of the dangerous situation that we are following with these storms. Dozens of flights, though, are delayed right now, and so monitoring this serious situation as these storms are impacting not just our roads with traffic, but our skies as the planes continue to circle right around Sky Harbor and wanting to land in the most opportune time. But for the time being, they can't because the storms are just too strong. And obviously with all that lightning, it makes conditions on the ground very, very dangerous. And of course, we'll be monitoring this and the storms that continue to develop throughout the evening and potentially into the overnight hours. And of course, it could be a very active next several days and a very active monsoon season as well. Javier, we'll send things to you.
Thank you, Jorge. Well, we've been around town, and all the live shots that we've seen so far, the one that was getting hit the hardest is our own Mark Thompson. So how's it looking out there?
Hey, Javier, this has been coming down in waves. Just about 5 minutes ago, we had heavy rain, but that has since moved on. But we still have a lot of the wind, and we see some lightning in the distance, and I can hear thunder as well coming through my left ear here. But here's one of the problems. Here's what has been left behind. You see this ponding of water on the pavement right here, and that's because it has been hot out here, 107 degrees before we hopped out of the car. And then as you move this way, you can see just a slight thin sheen of oil on the pavement there as well, and that makes conditions dangerous for drivers. You have that ponding with the oil on the roads, and you could have some situations where people can hydroplane. That's why we always tell people to slow down when these monsoon storms move through. Right now, again, 3rd Avenue and Van Buren, that's where we are located downtown. A little lull in the action here as we had some people leave early to try and beat the rush hour traffic, but it looks like we still have quite a few people on the roads. Maybe they're trying to get to where they need to get to before the next wave comes through. Again, just about 5 minutes ago, I mean, we had thick raindrops hitting us here in the downtown area. We've still got the wind, but the rain seems to have moved on. Again, I can hear thunder, I can see lightning, and the roadways, they are becoming slick with that oil and sheen, and there is some ponding on the roadways as well. But we're going to keep an eye on things. We're going to wait for the next wave of rain to possibly move through. Now, I've got to tell you, because it was so hot out here, we saw some people, you know what, they actually really were enjoying being out in the monsoon rain because it gave them a little bit of relief from the heat. Me, myself, I wanted to seek shelter, especially when I started seeing that lightning in the area. But guys, we're going to keep an eye on things out here. I'm going to send it back to you.
All right. Thanks, Mark. Be safe out there. Of course, we continue our team coverage, and anytime in the recent years where we've had an abundance of rain and these thunderstorms, we definitely look up to the high country because they're impacted as well. So we want to turn now to Nicole Grigg. You were just right off that museum fire burn scar, an area that flooded last year.
Yeah, and neighbors, people who live in this area, they've been telling me for the past few days a lot of anxiety because they've been watching the chances for thunderstorms the past few days. When they see them go up, it's really an anxious feeling for them. You can see right now, this is that Spruce Avenue wash. This is where the rain floodwaters will come down. Usually the first indication if there's a flood coming, they have cameras up at the top, so officials in the city and county are able to monitor those. Right now we have kind of scattered rainstorms, so you can see that there's rain on the ground kind of coming and going, but you see those preparations are here right now. The Jersey barriers, you have sandbags, and this line of sandbags goes through the Flagstaff community, 800,000 of these sandbags. Now the burn scar that I'm at right now, you can hear that thunder above me. This is for the museum fire. Other communities now at risk because of the pipeline fire. So just east of me, areas of Doney Park, Fernwood, Timberline Estates, all those areas that just evacuated from the fire, they are now at risk of this post-fire flooding as well. I can tell you that forest officials still doing their assessments right now to figure out just how severe the flash flooding could be in those areas. Again, kind of scattered rainstorms here throughout the evening and afternoon hours that we've been seeing. But this area is prepared. Neighbors are anxious. I can tell you at 6:30 tonight, people who live near the pipeline wildfire who were evacuated, there's going to be a community meeting to talk about the flood risk. The county will host that. We have information on abc15.com. Again, that's starting in just about an hour and a half at 6:30. We'll monitor that as well because we're expecting more information and possibly maps to come out for where that flooding will occur. We'll stay out here for the next few hours and make sure that no storm clouds hit right on Mount Eldon where those burn scars are, because that's where the biggest potential is right now. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Nicole. Wishing our folks up in Flagstaff the very best. Well, we continue with our coverage of Monsoon 2022 as more video is starting to come into the newsroom. We want to share that video with you right now. No rain in South Gilbert, but you can see those winds. Wow, they are making those trees sway. Remember, we want to see your weather video as well as those storms come through. So all you have to do is send it and share it at abc15.com. Let's take you now to Buckeye, and you can see that massive wall of dust over one neighborhood. We're told there was a lot of wind with just a few sprinkles and certainly a lot of thunder out there. So we continue with our Weather Action Day and our Monsoon 2022 coverage. We'll have more right after the break.
Out there, traffic is still moving. Let's check back in with Amber now because we have a lot of warnings out there.
Yeah, we sure do. Warnings and advisories all across the valley, from the severe thunderstorm to the flooding to dust. We've got it all right now. So let's walk you through it. And we're going to take this alert by alert. The first one to tell you about: a severe thunderstorm warning here for parts of Scottsdale and North Phoenix. This is in effect until 5:15. It's for all the spots you see here within this orange polygon on the map. Now, in addition to that, another severe thunderstorm warning has been issued. This one for the storms that have come up and over the Estrella Mountains and are now hitting Levine and Ahwatukee. That severe thunderstorm warning until 5:15. On top of that, a flood advisory. This is because of the heavy rain that came with the first storm. And this flood advisory is going to go until 7:30. And this includes along I-10 just to the west of downtown Phoenix and stretching all the way down toward about 67th Avenue in Southern, even beyond that into Levine. And more rain is coming down in some of these same areas that already got poured on earlier with that first storm. Now a lot of that heavy rain stretching through South Mountain, along the 202 South Mountain portion, and up into Ahwatukee. So this heavy rain is going to be leading to perhaps some localized flooding, and we're watching the winds with it as well. This is a look at our velocity scope. It tracks winds with the storm, and where you see green, these are winds flowing toward the radar, which the radar is located down in Queen Creek. The red areas are winds flowing away from the radar, and so when we see green and red right next to each other, that shows us that this storm is downbursting. The winds are coming out of the base of this storm and spreading out in all directions. So coming toward the radar and away from the radar, and those wind gusts could hit 60+ miles per hour and do some damage. So that's what we're watching closely right through Ahwatukee and Levine. These areas getting impacted with not just the rain, but the potential of damaging winds and dozens of lightning strikes in this area as well. All of this storm action pushing to the northeast. So that's going to be the general storm movement for the next couple of hours. New storms firing up out near Buckeye and Goodyear over the last hour. Another one just forming right near White Tanks. These will move to the northeast as well. And then farther east, storms lighting up the radar near Globe and north of there. And even some action out near Superior, which has led to that flash flood warning right over the Telegraph burn scar area that I showed you earlier. This warning till 8:15 tonight. We're going to take off the radar, put on the burn scars, because it's not just this area that's dealing with flooding. We're also tracking what's happening over the Raphael burn scar, and that's where we're seeing a flood advisory to the north of Clarkdale. This until 5 p.m. We've got those burn scars north of Flagstaff as well, but so far the rain in that area has been generally fairly light to moderate, so we haven't had any big concerns with flash flooding coming off of the burn scars over the San Francisco peaks. But it's definitely an area of concern for the next several hours and for the next few days as these storm chances continue. Taking you back to the valley, there's a look at what's happening now. Again, it is a wild night for monsoon action here, Faye, and the storms are going to continue moving through in the hours ahead. So now's the time to just sit back, relax, maybe watch the NBA draft coming up, and don't go out until after these storms pass through. Of course, we're going to have more chances coming up as well in the days ahead, and we're going to get you a look at your 7-day forecast here in just the next few minutes.
Yeah, our crews are out there, so you don't have to be at home. And let's bring you more live pictures right now. This is one of our ADREC cameras. This is on the 202 at Ahwatukee. You can see as we get into the time it would normally be sort of the evening rush, very light traffic out there. It's moving pretty quickly, even though there's a lot of water on those roads. I want to get out to Jordan Bonke. He's in our live drive right now. Where are you exactly, Jordan, and how's it looking?
What time do we have? What time is it?
So we are at the Loop 202. We are really, really close to the Crossroads Town Center. That's where the Walmart's at. We're right now going just underneath Gilbert Road. This is probably the biggest slowdown that we've seen, and that's saying a lot because we're still moving at 40 miles an hour. So earlier we were on State Road 587. This is what the 202 looks like right now, you know, and again, still very dry, dark skies. We're headed towards Superior to go check out that flash flood warning right now, and we're going to have an update closer. That'll be probably
we're having some technical difficulties again, that weather. But speaking of weather, we're finally getting some weather. You can see right behind me the wind chime is definitely ringing, and you can see some of that rain right behind me as well. So those winds are picking up. So after about 45-50 minutes or so, We're finally getting it right outside of the ABC 15 studio, which is right off the 202 and the 143. But we want to continue keeping our eyes across the valley, show you some other video of what's happening out in Sun Lakes. And check out the dust blowing in Sun Lakes. You could see there, it appears at an RV park, and you can see some of that wind right there. But then let's show you the rain when it started coming down in Queen Creek. That's where it was first hitting. So lots of what's happening across the valley. Again, we have all our crews spread out to try to give you a vantage point of what's happening all across the valley, and again, to make sure that you stay home safe. So we'll take care of that. Let's head over to Jorge Torres right now. He's been tracking what's going on there at Sky Harbor in the plains.
Yeah, Javier, it's still a mess, obviously, over our valley skies as a result of these severe thunderstorms impacting the Phoenix metro. So planes are just circling Sky Harbor, waiting to land until the storms begin to weaken a bit. Obviously, not the case. They keep intensifying. More and more warnings come out. So here's a look at the misery map, just showing you the major issues regarding delays across not just the valley skies, but all over the lower 48. So let's zoom in toward Phoenix, and you can see as of now, 38 flights have been delayed, 3 canceled. So, and that number may go up if this trend continues. But as of now, no official or anything of that sort. But as I mentioned, there's several dozen flights already delayed as a result of these storms, with more in the forecast over the next several days, and obviously the next several hours. And of course, our complete coverage on this Weather Action Day will continue throughout the afternoon and the evening, and of course online here on abc15.com.
ABC 15 in weather action mode today as storms are popping up all over the valley. Javier Soto outside our studios here in central Phoenix, and you've seen some of that rain out there.
Yeah, but it didn't last very long. As soon as it came in was as soon as it went out. We're still seeing some of the wind, and just a short while ago we heard some more thunder, and we actually saw some lightning in the distance. So again, just a reminder to folks out there, be careful, be safe, stay indoors. But somebody who's been tracking this since she walked in the door this afternoon is our chief meteorologist, Amber Solins. What's going on now?
Well, we still got a lot of alerts and a brand new one to show you right now. A new dust warning that has just been issued out to the west here. So let's go ahead and zoom over. I'll take the radar off for a minute so you can actually see what's going on here. This is a dust storm warning. It includes the Northwest Valley. So Surprise and Sun City, El Mirage, and even out toward Whitman, and then stretches all the way back to Tonopah. So this area under this dust storm warning till 5:30, visibility may drop to about a quarter mile or less. Then we still have the other alert that we were showing you earlier for dust, another dust storm warning that goes from Chandler through Ahwatukee, Goodyear, and Buckeye. This one was issued quite a while ago. It's going to expire right at 5 p.m. Many of these areas already have heavy rain coming in, and so the dust threat is going down by the minute. On top of that, 2 severe thunderstorm warnings. Both of these are set to expire at 5:15. One for Phoenix, Laveen, Ahwatukee, and even parts of Tempe, and the other for Scottsdale, North Phoenix, and stretching all the way up toward the McDowell Mountains. So with these storms, gusts near 60 miles per hour are possible. We may even see some small hail. But as we look at the time lapse here over the last hour, what we can see is that they're losing intensity in some cases, breaking apart a little bit, not the concentrated heavy downpours that they started out as, but spreading out and still leading to a few heavy downpours, but they're not quite as strong as they were about 30 minutes or so ago. So I do expect that these severe thunderstorm warnings will end at 5:15, and we're just going to have to be on the lookout to see if any more very strong storms can come in. In that case, we may see a few more issued. In the meantime, though, we're dealing with the flooding left behind from the storms and a flood advisory for Laveen until 7:30 tonight. On top of that, of course, lots of lightning across the valley, so stay inside. Dozens of cloud-to-ground strikes are possible. And as we look at the next 7 days, storm chances continue. Now, tomorrow's probably going to be a down day. Just a slight chance for storms in the forecast Friday and Saturday. But we up the storm chance again for Sunday and early next week. And then we'll go back to that slight chance toward the middle of next week. So more potentially to come. But it looks like the next day to really be on the lookout will be Sunday. In the meantime, hours to go on this. We are nowhere close to finished with these storms tonight.
Yeah, it is certainly a weather action day here. That does it for us on air here at 4, but the NBA draft is up next.
Well, it's a weather action day here at ABC 15. I'm Chief Meteorologist Amber Solins, and it has been a stormy afternoon across the valley and across many parts of the state. These storms have turned severe in the Phoenix metro area over the last hour and led to numerous warnings, along with flood advisories and dust storm warnings as well. Here's a look at what's left as we take a look at clouds and radar. We still have numerous storms across the valley, but they're no longer severe, it looks like. They're starting to break apart a little bit, and instead of these very concentrated, very powerful storms in isolated areas, now we're just seeing widespread shower and thunderstorm activity across the Phoenix metro area. Now, as we take a look at the alerts, we do still have this dust storm warning for the Northwest Valley, for areas farther northwest up into Whitman and Morristown, and then back down toward Tonopah and over White Tank. So this dust storm warning for this part of the valley until 5:30. Visibility may be less than a quarter of a mile. So if you encounter dust, you need to make sure you pull off the road as far as you can to the right. You take your foot off the brake after putting that car in park. You don't want any of your lights on, so turn your headlights off, and again, take the foot off the brake so they can't see those lights behind as well, and just wait it out. The other thing to know is you don't want to go outside at all and breathe in this dust, because there's fungus that lives in our dust here in the desert that causes valley fever, and that could have long-term health impacts for you if you do happen to get valley fever. So stay out of dusty areas whenever these dust storms move through. Now, as we take a look at the radar and the rain, thankfully we're getting some rain behind the dust in many cases. I think those areas farther west are probably going to stay dusty, but for the valley and some of these spots like Ahwatukee, Chandler, parts of the East Valley that had dust roll through earlier today, now we're getting the rain to help kind of mat that dust down and improve our air quality. So that's a big plus. As we look at the last hour, those storms starting to move into Mesa and Scottsdale, Ahwatukee, right over South Mountain and up through Laveen again. And the flood advisory that we saw issued earlier is still in effect for the Laveen area. This came after the first storm rolled through, and we've seen a couple right behind it. So a lot of rain falling in this area, and the advisory until 7:30 tonight means that you may encounter some street flooding. So make sure you don't try to drive through any flooded roadways. Let's take a look farther south and take a look at the winds as well. This is our velocity scope, and this shows us what the winds are doing. Coming out of that cloud, we have winds that are getting forced in all directions as they reach the ground. In these areas in green, winds are going toward the radar, which is located here in Queen Creek. In the areas in red, winds are going away from the radar, and so that indicates that we're downbursting from this storm in this area. And so those downburst winds may do damage. That was the potential we saw earlier with 60+ mile-per-hour winds. I think at this point those wind gusts have probably backed off to the 40 to 50 mile-per-hour range, but that's still not a wind you want to mess around with outside right now. So that's a look at the valley. The storms continue to come in from the southwest, moving to the northeast. Dangerous lightning with these storms as well. So just kind of hang out inside and wait until they pass through. The other thing we're watching, flooding over our burn scars. We have a crew on the way to the Telegraph burn scar area just to the east and southeast of Superior. Rain moved through there. A flash flood warning has been issued. So flooding is happening right now on that burn scar because it's not able to absorb any of the rain that's pouring down. That warning until 8:15 tonight. Again, that's for the Telegraph burn scar area. But burn scars elsewhere across our state are also something we're keeping a close eye on. So it's not just this area here, but every area you see on the map here shaded in red. These are our burn scars since 2016. And the reason we go that far back is because it takes years for these burn scars to recover. We did see a flood advisory over the Raphael burn scar area to the north of Clarkdale here earlier. That has since expired. And as we take a look at the radar right now, overlaid on these burn scar areas, we have had some rain moving through Flagstaff, but not enough yet over the burn scars up there north and northeast of Flagstaff to lead to any flood advisories or flash flood warnings. Having said that, the rain starting to pick up in intensity in the Flagstaff area, and so we may see some alerts issued in the hours ahead. We'll keep a close eye on it. In the meantime, also, of course, watching those storms here in the valley that continue to bring all the threats, the lightning, the gusty winds, the heavy rain, the perhaps localized flooding. We have crews all across the valley helping us to keep track of it. We'll send it back to you, Faye, right now so that we can get a look at what's happening from our crews and from our cameras across the valley.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, we want to take you to one of our ADOT cameras right now. You're looking at the 51 freeway, and you can see some of the problems happening just because the signal is breaking up right now. The weather doing a number on the electronics here and having the camera bounce around quite a bit. This is another area, the 51, that we keep an eye on when we get a lot of water in a short amount of time. Those underpasses are prone to flooding. So we're watching the traffic on this right now. It doesn't seem to be happening right here. We just lost that shot, so let's get off it real quick. Do want to stay on the roads, though, and head out to Jordan Bonke. He's an ABC 15 live drive. Jordan?
All right, so we are on the US 60 East. We have been all over the southern portion of Maricopa County. This is what it looks like right now. You know, one thing that's constant throughout the day is we have been able to drive in a fluid manner. We've been able to drive at normal highway speeds, maybe below average. You know, earlier we were on State Road 587. We could see that some of the construction barriers were tipped over from the wind. One thing that is kind of nice is obviously the cooler temperatures. It was really hot today at closer to 106, according to just the temperature on my watch there. When we were in Chandler, we were approaching darker skies. Amber mentioned that we are the crew that's headed to Superior to check out the possible flash flooding that could be happening over in that area, or the flash flood alert that's been issued for that area. We were on the 202 East earlier, and you know, one thing you'll see if you are driving around the valley right now is you'll see it'll say low visibility, blowing dust. That's in effect at least until 5:30, and even when in between live shots we'll have the radio on, and the radio will have an alert, and it'll say, you know, just the National Weather Service, and this is one of those alerts that's like a cautionary tone, right? It comes across and from the National Weather Service that we're in a weather alert atmosphere across the valley. Occasional lightning. We see occasional lightning here and there, but for the most part, it looks like as we are getting we're headed east right now on the 60, it looks like the storm isn't that the clouds aren't as dark as they once were when we were heading a little bit more east. The dust has subsided. That was really more like almost like an hour and a half ago, but we're about just over 30 minutes from Superior, and then light raindrops right now, very light raindrops and light wind. One thing again that's very nice is the smell of the desert during a rain, after a rain, something that we're enjoying once we get to lower speeds and we can roll the windows down. But for now, still manageable weather conditions, very fluid when behind the wheel, not having to, you know, really slow down, not seeing a whole lot of people that are pulled over because of the dust storm. Just a very, very minor weather conditions on the road. But as always, you know, it's better to be safe than sorry. If you don't need to be behind the wheel, you know, don't go, and you don't need to be driving right now. So we're on the US 60. This is exit 193, and as we are getting closer and closer to Superior. Once we get there, we'll again start gathering and seeing what we can. But for now, we'll send it back to you guys in the studio. Jordan Bonke here in the passenger seat. We'll send it back to you guys.
All right. Be safe out there, and we're wishing our folks in Globe and Miami the best of luck with this rain. Here outside the ABC 15 studio, it hit for a little bit, but then it subsided, and we got a few sprinkles after that, but not a whole lot of activity. But I'll tell you where there was a whole lot of activity. That was downtown Phoenix just a short while ago, and that's where we find our Mark Thompson this afternoon.
Yeah, Javier, I must have drawn the short straw because I've had all of the action. Just about an hour ago, we had rain, we had wind, we had thunder, we had lightning. Still some lightning downtown here, as a matter of fact. We are right on the corner of Van Buren and 3rd Avenue, right in the middle of rush hour. So now you have all of these cars, as you see here, stacked up, trying to make their way home. And the roads are slick out there, so drivers, you are going to have to take it easy. And there is also a little sheen of oil out on the roadways now, too, that happens usually once we get our first monsoon storm to roll through. He is pointing off to the west right now, where we actually can see some sunny skies that way. There was nothing but dark clouds behind me as we look towards the east. But again, this has been coming down in waves. About an hour ago, we had thick raindrops along with the wind. It wasn't some of that sideways blowing rain like sometimes that you find. These were just thick, heavy drops that I could only imagine, like if it was in a place where it snowed, you'd have those really thick snowflakes. But a lot of people, they decided to come outside and kind of frolic in the cool rain, because it was 107 degrees when we first hopped out of the car, and then we saw the first downpour. But here in the downtown area, mainly people, you got to watch for the folks who are in front of you and leave yourself a little bit of extra stopping distance as well. Yeah, we can hear the thunder. We hear you, thunder. We hear you rumbling. Sounds like Mother Nature's stomach is grumbling there. But yeah, leave yourself some extra stopping distance, because if you have to slam on the brakes for some reason, you are going to slide and you may run into someone else. So as tempting as it is to look up into the sky and see all the weather that's going on in front of you, you really want to keep your eyes on the roadway as well. We've been out here for probably about getting close to 2 hours now, and there's just been a cycle where we've had heavy downpours mixed with nothing at all, sunshine in some areas, and then back to cloudy skies. And that is the nature of how these monsoon storms hit. And we were out earlier today, as Amber was talking about, with a lot of the dust storms, worrying about those popping up. And we interviewed ADOT. They've got a dust storm detection system where they've got like 13 sensors set up, one of its kind technology from the I-10 all the way from Eloy to Picacho Peak, and they monitor all of the dust that is hitting the roadways, and it automatically, when there is a dust storm, triggers the ADOT signage system, speedway signage system, the speed limit. It will automatically lower the speed limit, so drivers will go from 75 down to around 30 miles per hour. So that was some pretty cool technology that they walked us through, but that is out on the highway system. Again, we are here downtown, where we're starting to see still some few light raindrops falling right now as cars continue to make their way home for rush hour. We're going to stay on top of things and see how the weather develops. Right now, we're going to send it back to you.
All right, thank you, Mark. Well, when we talk about a weather action day, we're not just talking here in the valley, up in the high country. Those folks in Flagstaff are certainly anxious, and that's where we find our Nicole Grigg just outside the museum burn scar. Nicole.
Yeah, Javier, that fire erupted in 2019, and we have seen last year all that flash flooding during monsoon season because of those severe threat risks that we have seen. The city and the county have actually installed these sirens here. So if there's 3/4 of an inch of rain in 15 minutes or less on the museum fire burn scar, these will be activated to warn people who live in this area that flooding is imminent. This will be repeated in both English and Spanish throughout this Grandview Estates area, as well as the Sunnyside neighborhood, just about a couple miles down the road from where I am. But you can see these Jersey barriers and lined of sandbags across this area. I can tell you there's 800,000 sandbags in this part of Flagstaff because of this flood potential. Now, the floodwaters will come down this Spruce Avenue wash right behind me, and this culvert is an issue here because it's just not big enough. The city, the county, they have been doing a lot of prep work, working on projects to try and lessen the amount of water that comes down those burn scars. But you know, we're dealing with Mother Nature, and they just cannot predict what could happen. Now, we have seen off and on rain showers this afternoon. You can see the cloud just north of us still developing. Now, that area that you're looking at on the other side of this mountain, that's kind of where the pipeline fire was just burning, and that area is also now at risk. Several communities, we're talking Timberline, Fernwood, Donny Park neighborhoods, all at risk of severe flooding too. I can tell you in about an hour and 15 minutes, the county has put out a press release that they will have a community outreach meeting for those people who were evacuated from the pipeline fire. They will now have a community meeting to discuss the flood risk that they now face in monsoon season here today and in the coming days. I can tell you that neighbors just down the road, they just ran up to Home Depot to go get some more supplies, more gravel and sand to put in their yards in case flash flooding comes in the next few days, since the risk has gone up. When it comes to the Forest Service, they are still doing assessments on the San Francisco peaks to see how severe the flooding will be. So again, kind of off and on storms throughout the afternoon, but we know in the coming days there is still real potential out here. Javier?
I'll take it over from here. Thank you very much. They're reporting from Flagstaff. She's been on top of the flooding concerns there, and the wildfire concerns are regarding not just the museum fire burn scar that occurred in 2019, but obviously this year's pipeline and haywire and tunnel fires, which will lead to potential burn scar flooding throughout the next several days, weeks, months, and even years, because those burn scars will have those lasting effects for a while. And the storms impacting the valley having an effect on planes trying to land. They can't right now because of the storms, because of the wind, and because of the lightning, which puts crews on the ground in danger. So we do have what is known as the misery map, just showing you some of the delays and cancellations across the lower 48 regarding some of the larger airports, including Phoenix Sky Harbor, 7th on the list. So here's the latest update now, and we're going to hit it back, and you can see so far 38 planes have been delayed. That is up from 33, where we checked about half an hour or so ago. And going back, and you can see even more cancellations, roughly 3 now, so it's actually the same as the last hour as we checked, and that number may fluctuate depending on the storm situation, of course. And now we're going to check FlightAware, showing you the situation here in the valley over our skies, and you can see the storms overhead and the planes just kind of still circling around, waiting for the best opportunity to land for all passengers and crews to arrive safely. And of course, crews on the ground who remove the luggage or put it inside the planes, of course, they're at highest risk. They're on the tarmac. So that is why we have these delays, which may, again, be ongoing as a result of the storm, still impacting us here in the Phoenix Metro with the numerous dust storm warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings that are still in effect. And we could see more storms here over the next several hours. So that number, as far as the misery map I'll show you, may fluctuate, of course. Right now, Phoenix Sky Harbor is 7th on the list as far as numbers of delays and cancellations across the lower 48. Again, going back to check the numbers, and you see we had about 38 delays, and we still do, and 3 flights canceled. And these are all flights to those major destinations. We're talking Chicago O'Hare, Dallas-Fort Worth, Houston Bush, LAX, and also DIA. So monitoring this very carefully for those of you perhaps watching right now and are considering heading to the airport because you have a flight later on tonight. Check with your airline, because there may be more delays as a result of these storms. Faye?
Not a fun day to be flying for sure. Well, from the high country to the valley and everywhere in between, our ABC 15 crews covering these storms from every angle. You can see those dark, ominous clouds out there, and so many of you helping us tell the story on this Weather Action Day. We want to go through some of the photos and videos that you've been sending in. We have a dust storm moving through, overtaking the Chandler Regional Airport. You can see just how thick the clouds were and how dark the dust is making those clouds. This is near Queen Creek and McQueen. More video coming in. This is new video as storms hit the Santan Valley area. The rain coming down there for sure. Dust an issue there. Pounding rains as well. And I want to show you a drone photo now. This is so dramatic, and this is really the image that sums up our summertime storms, our monsoon storms, especially here in the valley. That wall of dust moving through. This is drone footage of the dust storm moving through the Chandler area. Let's take you out to Sun Lakes now, and you can see the dust there in the air as well. Wind not blowing quite as heavily in that area. area, but certainly a lot of dust. And then I want to take you out to Queen Creek as well. Just as the rain was starting to come down, you can see shots frozen there, but we do have a little bit of more video we want to show you right now. Check out how hard it was coming down in one family's neighborhood there as they kind of pan around their backyard. You can see something flying there in the air, the wind, the dust, an issue all over the valley. Let's check back in with Chief Meteorologist Amber Solins.
Yeah, it was really everything, prompting us to switch into weather action mode. The lightning, the wind, the dust, the heavy rain, even flooding. And we still have a flood advisory for the Levine area until 7:30 tonight. Now, much of the other alerts have dropped off the map. That's because as you look at the last hour, these storms are weakening fairly rapidly. I don't imagine we're going to see any more severe thunderstorm warnings issued for tonight. I think at this point, all of this is just going to continue to move through the area and eventually push out to the east and northeast in the next hour or two, and then we'll be done for the evening. We do still, though, have a dust storm warning that's out to the west and this flood advisory until 7:30 tonight for areas of Phoenix just west of downtown and stretching down into Levine. So some minor street flooding in some of these spots, and then the dust is farther to the west. Now, thankfully, we've seen a lot of dust alerts today, but in most cases, the rain has followed right behind. So we haven't had too many issues with the lingering dust in the air. This spot, however, will Whitman down to Tonopah, out near White Tanks as well. This dust storm warning until 5:30. Visibility could be reduced down to a quarter mile or less, and there's not a lot of rain out there to mat that dust down. In fact, everything is pushing through Phoenix, so it's farther east and through the East Valley, and it's headed the wrong way. So I don't think we're going to see any substantial downpours out where that dust storm warning out to the west has been issued. Now we're going to zoom on into just a few valley neighborhoods. At this point, it's getting very isolated with the heavy rain, but we're seeing it out near Luke Air Force Base, up near Surprise, just to the west of the Loop 101 out near Arrowhead, north of the 101, essentially between the 101 and the Dean Hills area to the west of I-17, and then also a few little pop-ups farther to the north. In fact, one here that's just up in the higher terrain to the west of Lake Pleasant, and that one is kicking out a little bit of hail. We can see there as the radar picks up that grayish blue color, that's indicating the chance for hail with that storm. Farther to the east, lots of lightning still in the mix, and of course that rain coming from Fountain Hills down toward Red Mountain Ranch. At this point, it's pretty light along the Loop 101 through Scottsdale and into Tempe and Mesa, but we do have one little downpour with lots of lightning right over the 10 and 60 interchange, so right over Arizona Mills Mall. That's where we're seeing that heavy downpour and the cloud to ground lightning. So across the valley, that's what we're watching. Down to our south, more storms brewing to the southwest of Casa Grande. Those will move up through Casa Grande and eventually hit Florence and Coolidge in about an hour to an hour and a half. We may see some of that impact places like Santan Valley and Queen Creek, but the way that this is moving, it is not coming right up into Phoenix. It'll kind of just cut on the southeast side of the Phoenix metro area. We also have storms in the high country. I know we have viewers up there, so let me show you what's happening in your neighborhoods as well. Springerville getting hit. Little storm out near Concho. Heber also seeing the thunder and lightning, little pockets of rain there, perhaps a little bit of hail as well with this storm about midway between Heber and Christopher Creek. And then more action to track with more hail potential to the north of Cordes Lakes and also just to the north of Montezuma Castle. In fact, that's a pretty big hail core right there with this one. That storm coming off the 260 headed to the northeast toward the village of Oak Creek. Watch out for really powerful wind gusts, cloud to ground lightning, and of course that hail potential in the next 30 minutes in the Oak Creek area. Up in Flagstaff, the showers there have been light to moderate, so we haven't seen the burn scar flooding issue that we've seen in Superior today. Just a few light showers, and at this point, Flagstaff's kind of in the hole where they're not getting in on anything, but a few spotty showers are going to continue to work their way through there in the hours ahead. Where we are seeing burn scar flooding, out near Superior. This is the Telegraph Fire burn scar. Flash flood warning there until 8:15. We do have a crew on the way, so we'll bring you an update as soon as they get there and check out what's happening in that area. Back to the valley, again, these shower and thunderstorms will continue to push through in the next hour or two, but the severe weather threat is gone for tonight. What we did see were damaging winds, in some cases up to 70 miles per hour. And we also had lots of reports of what viewers thought were tornadoes. These were spin-ups from the ground, either called gustnadoes or land spouts. We're getting a lot of video, and so let's bring in meteorologist Jorge Torres to break it all down.
It's just a new video that we got in earlier sent to our Facebook page from viewer Jody Murphy. This is over in the far West Valley, over by Avondale, and you can see that tall vortex that's connecting to the base and the ground. This is known as a landspout. Technically, it is a tornado, but not the tornado you think of when it comes to, for example, Tornado Alley or areas around the Midwest where they get those supercell, large wedge tornadoes, those EF4s, EF5s. This is not that. This is just a landspout or a non-supercell tornado. These occur when you have storm clouds beginning to build and you get that rotation. And these storms, again, can produce this, what you're seeing on your screen now, but they tend to be weak and they tend to be short-lived. So when you see this, of course, you want to keep your guard up and stay away from it. But no, this is not the storm that you think of when you think of those large tornadoes that you see, of course, on the Weather Channel or on television, ABC World News, for example, showing the severe storms across the rest of the country. Not the case with this storm, but again, we've had reports of those landspouts and, of course, the gustnadoes here across the valley and throughout central parts of the state. And storms are still impacting the valley. Speaking of which, our Christine Stanwood in live drive there along the 60 and Mesa telling us what's happening right now. How's it looking, Christine?
Just giving you guys an updated look as to what we're seeing. It's kind of pretty now. We've got some rainfall, nothing too heavy at this time, but you also see the breaks in the clouds. We're heading back towards the valley where several people who are heading back home, likely from their day of work, having their evening commute, going through this rain. And see, you can see it picked up just like that. In just a matter of seconds, just while we're on the phone, and that rain can just show you right here. We're going underneath this overpass and you can see all of that sheen from the rain. So you can tell if that was an issue. And then you also see over on the sign here on the highway, caution, low visibility, blowing dust. I know Jordan mentioned something like this. So this is something that develops as these storms, these monsoon storms, can change in a matter of seconds. We were on the backside of the storm when we were around the Santan Valley and also Queen Creek. We didn't see anything significant. We think we hit it after the fact, but we know a lot of you had those viewer photos, videos from the storm, and let me show you here. Wow, this can change in a matter of seconds, so just be careful, right? So you can see a little bit of traffic and a lot of that kick up from some of those tires from the water. So we're about to hit a little bit of traffic here. So we're gonna monitor this. Just take it easy, take it slow. It does look like getting that little break in the clouds is nice, but Jorge and of course Chief Meteorologist Amber Solins are tracking all of this for you. We're going to send it back to you guys there in the studio. Reporting live, Christine Stanwood, ABC 15, Arizona.
All right, Christine, thank you. Getting some more video, and viewer sharing this with our Jordan Bonnke, saying there's a leak at the Nike store at the Arizona Mills Mall in Tempe. We're checking to see what kind of damage may be inside as a result of that. And as always, we thank you for helping us tell the story, especially on a weather action day like this. If it's safe for you to do so, go ahead and get some video, send your pictures in. We always love to see them at share@abc15.com. And here's some of the images we have coming in right now from our cameras that are all over Arizona right now. You can see a lot of dark clouds out there still, but traffic is moving and it seems to be breaking up a little bit.
Yeah, we continue to show you viewer video and pictures of what's going on across the valley, and that's always a symbol that the monsoon has arrived. We're seeing some raindrops there in a swimming pool. A lot of action across the valley all afternoon long, and we're just showing you some of the videos that some of our viewers have shared throughout and trying to give you a perspective of what was going on. We know we saw a lot of dust, we saw some rain, we saw some wind, we saw some lightning, definitely heard thunder as well, and we saw those ominous clouds, and you can see that big dust storm behind that house. Great shot from one of our viewers, and again, we encourage you to continue sending those pictures and video into the newsroom at abc15.com.
And we'll continue to track all of these storms throughout the evening. We invite you to join us both on air and online.